art community, collectors and different artists, rally around an artist when there's, and more often than not, sometimes it's financial problems, they all seem to have, or many seem to have, but more often than not when it's a health-related issue. And there's a genuine concern. I don't know that I can speak to it as part of the healing process, but I think it's part of a communal emotion that's expressed in wanting to give back something to these artists who have given so much to them. I've seen it in some artists. There was a particular artist in Benton, Tennessee. His name was Danny Hoskinson, and for years he labored, and he had a vision to be an artist. He made his art out of melted paint buckets. He started as a house painter, and he started melting plastic forks, and it grew, and then he started melting the buckets that he painted from, and he made amazing sculptures in a medium nobody is working in, still hasn't. And for years he was called the Barefoot Artist because he lived in a lean-to somewhere outside of Chattanooga in Benton, Tennessee. And because he did his work with a blowtorch and a spoon and a fork and created these amazing pieces of artwork. We have one piece we have in particular of his, it's a bride. He melted down the buckets and then he sculpted with it. And it's by no means a piece of fine art, but it's something that he was able to extrude the plastic and make a veil out of it. It was very different. He was very experimental. The problem in doing this, in making all these creations, he never wore a mask. He didn't know he was supposed to. And as a result of this, his health was horribly compromised from his lungs to his liver to, and maybe it had a little something to do with maybe having a little nip or two of something. Anyhow, so his health declined rapidly, and toward the end of his life, he was starting to get a little bit of recognition for more collectors and probably a little bit more of the more prominent art collectors. But he got really, really sick, and he wasn't creating any more art. And it was only after he died that the state of Tennessee had the aha moment and said, "Oh my God, what a fabulous find we have here!" And they mounted a big show of his work, and there was a reaction from a lot of people who were the collectors of his work and his supporters for a long time that that's a very nice thing to do, but it might have been nice to give him a little recognition in his lifetime. But there's a support from the collector community, from gallerists like Gray. He has been extremely good to the artists that he's worked with. He's a great benefactor. He's a great inspiration to his artists. And I think for me, that's the healing part of it. It shows how you can bring people together who maybe start a collection so that they can have not only have more than someone else or have a bigger collection or for whatever the motivation is, but it shows how they can come together and really care about someone. To me, that's part of the healing process.
Really beautifully said. And Dolly really has deep friendships with people. And, that's an art in itself. It's hard to do. And again, there are a lot of very vampire-esque gallery dealers, and it's wonderful to have Gray in the room because he's certainly not. He's very attuned to them as clients, as whole people, and that's a rare thing. I think that all of us have some aspect which has been traumatized or we've had illness or whatever, and I think the popularity of the outsider art is because it speaks to that part of us that maybe we mask very well, of having been broken at some point. Matt is here in here, and Matthew, would you come on up for a second? Matt is this, I think, Rubik child. As a mother, I can say, look at that face. I'm not his mother. But Matt, you want to say a little bit what happened to you as a kid?
Sure.
Does that affect your art at all?
Oh, yes, very much so. Thanks, Rebecca. It's really an honor to be part of this show. I mean, I live about probably 4 blocks from here where I've painted close to probably 5,000 or 6,000 paintings. So it's really great to finally, show something local with this theme. But anyways, I was, as you can tell, I wasn't born with my left hand. missing, but I lost it when I was 8 years old as a result of an airplane landing on me, severing my arm near where I lived in Nebraska. So anyway, so I had a pretty much normal childhood thanks to my family. Kind of like we didn't really like make it a big part of my existence. Didn't point it out every time. So I was I played football. I did a lot of other stuff. I got a job with IBM. That's how I came out here to DC. I worked in Bethesda, software development, and about the age of I guess about 25 or 26, which is a long time ago, I just started painting because I met a girl who happened to live in Mount Pleasant, so this is all very local. And she had a group house, and they were art students, and they were sitting around. It was I think my first or second date, and they were painting. And because I wanted to impress her, I lied and said, "Oh, I know how to paint," and I'd never painted in my whole life. So that night it kind of began. I just kind of got into the music and the feeling. Yeah, it's that emotional feeling of bright colors and sharp lines and wow, it really felt great. Probably better than. And anyway, so what happened is I started to really examine a lot of the feelings of trauma and what I went through as a child. I never talked it over with anyone. It's been probably close to 20 years. So I just kind of focused in on my head and just started just painting like crazy. Working with IBM at the same time, and software. I worked at Netscape, worked at AOL. So luckily for me, it was during the .com boom. So I created my website with my paintings. It was kind of just like a hobby, and never really took it seriously. I had a great mentor in Beverly Kay from Connecticut. She's an outsider art dealer. She's fantastic, and she helped me in the beginning years really kind of help identify who I was as a painter, and really encouraged me as far as to go with what I feel and not really try to become anything else. And like you said, I really just paint, and that's what I do. I mean, today I did laundry, but tomorrow I'll be painting. But anyways, it's been an amazing tool for healing. I don't work in computers anymore. I paint full time now, so it's my business in that sense. But I don't make very much money. I made like 5 times as much being at IBM, but now I'm 5 times happier, maybe 500 times happier. So it's really about being happy and just kind of traveling with the art. I actually did a show in Slovenia, which they have what they call naive art in Slovenia, and I was the first American to represent our country for this worldwide event they have there every year. That was about 2 years ago, I think. So for them, naive art is about storytelling art. So I did a lot of storytelling art. So, but anyways, take a look around at my work and everybody else's, and ask me questions if you want.